All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. AMD was awesome yesterday. Yes, sir. That was one of those, man. Just one of those per day. That's all we need. That was incredible. Incredible. And it looks good today, too. There's a setup on it today. So definitely in watch again. Welcome back, guys. How we doing? Happy Friday. Anyone play Battlefield yesterday? I did not. I'm thinking about maybe over the weekend getting into it. I have not gamed in a very long time. Very long time. Battlefield though is something maybe I come back on the weekends for. Morning, everyone. How we doing? Happy Friday. From Amsterdam. Emmy, how we doing? Only the strong and disciplined survive. Yes, sir. That's the truth. The strong and the discipline. In anything in life. In trading. Anything. Fast Money Fridays. Yes, sir. Hopefully not too fast. We got to make sure we get a good setup. That's always important. Make sure we don't rush into anything. Yesterday was another great example of the gap fill type of trading day. And today we are not so much on a gap, so that is good. But yesterday we came into the day with the game plan of waiting for the gap to fill before any kind of opportunities. But unfortunately, that just sort of lasted all day. So I was interested in maybe trying to take some longs on that NASDAQ 23,400 area, but it just sort of took all day. And I just didn't really feel like doing it into the end of the day, so I stayed away from it. Swings, closed all those up yesterday. Really nice. Best day in a long time for me on those swings. Closed up Apple. Still looks good, Apple. Going to look to see if there's an opportunity again today. But Apple and the SMH swing were the big winners yesterday. Closed up over $11,000 yesterday. So, man, big day. First five-figure day in probably, I don't know, man. It could be like 2-3 weeks. So feels good to be back there. This was a something that I was waiting for, and feels good to get back on the groove there. So you guys know I've been very open and honest about some of the struggles I've had. Made the video yesterday about my month of July. But that's just the reality of trading, and I hope that you can accept that and learn from it, and hopefully me sharing it will resonate with you, to know that it's not all just money, right? There is always some downside. There's always risk. There's always mistakes, and that's what we have to get through. But how we come back from it's always important, and we have come back fantastic. So far, this month, we've basically made back half of what we lost, so I'm very pleased with that. Yeah, we'll see what today brings. We'll try to close the week strong. Yeah, swings were great. Tesla basically closed break even, the one that I held overnight. The SMH, or I'm sorry, the SM and the SPX swing. So had a bunch, two that ran for over 100%. Apple ran for around 30-40%, and then lost some on Tesla and OKLO. Posted those yesterday. Posted my profits on those yesterday. But today's a new day. Some new opportunities. Don't think I'll be doing too many more swings. Want to have a nice relaxing weekend. Don't really feel like checking my phone even when the market's closed. When you have swings on over the weekend, you're on a Saturday morning and you're checking the charts and you're like, oh, nothing's moving, so why am I even looking at these charts? So yeah, I feel like having a nice relaxing weekend. Just going to keep tinkering away. Really the goal right now is just to make back that July loss, get back to even over those last 2 months, and then just continue to get that momentum going. So it's going well. I've been doing some, been trying to stay more patient, been trying to stay more, like yesterday, for example, just sort of knew coming into the day that the gap fill was the possibility, right? We talked about that pretty much the entire live stream yesterday. We said the gap fill is the most likely scenario, and it's going to be a slow move lower until we find that demand spot. You're basically just slowly grinding lower until you find where the buyers are, and that was at our NASDAQ level. But unfortunately, it sort of happened at the end of the day, so there's just nothing for me to really take advantage of. But you can see today, we are slightly higher off that level, but there is still highs above, and I want to make sure we're all very open about what's going on in the market. We have a very clear yesterday high, which we are trading in between. So today, on a Friday, we are on an inside day. Inside days are tough. Inside days require patience, again, because you are trading within the highs and the lows of the previous trading day, which means technically you're just sort of sideways, which is not great for expansion moves, which is sort of what we look for. So let's be patient today. Let's be calm today. Let's understand that the market's just sort of in between yesterday's action. Let's make sure we have our levels set, have our game plan set, and let's follow it today on a Friday. Probably no zero DTE for me today, Probably not. I really don't like trading zeros on Friday anymore. Just too volatile, man. The way I trade, I like to see things out. I like to stay patient. That's my MO. I'm okay trusting a level and letting things sort of go sideways for a little bit and just keep trusting. Trust my analysis. And with zeros, that doesn't really work, right? You can't really let zero DTE contracts go sideways for a half an hour. It's very, it's not good for those contracts. They deteriorate, right? The contract premium goes down. So for me, on Fridays, zeros just really don't work well unless I see something that's like perfect, red hot, that I believe is going to go like right away. I would prefer to just trade the next Mondays, next Fridays, which will be just fine. Still opportunity. And also, if something looks great, right, that gives you the possibility to swing trade it. If it's looking really good and you're like, hey, I don't really have a reason to fully exit, my expiration is next Friday, I can swing trade this, right? Rather than being stuck in zeros, you can't hold it overnight if it looks good. So I like to stick to the next weeks and just keep my options open, right? All right, so with that said, let's get started. Hope you guys had a good day yesterday. Let's make it another good day today. Press that like button before we get started. And here we go to the circle. So, today. How's the mic sound? We good? I might have to buy 2 Shure SM7Bs. I really don't want to. Really don't want to spend another $800 on a mic. But this mic back here, this is the good one. However, it's back there. So, but hopefully it sounds all right to you guys. All right. So today, let's start with, it's a little quiet. Yeah, Case told me that yesterday. It gets a little bit quieter. I don't know, man. I gotta figure out. It should be fine, but it's good enough. It's good enough. It'll work, no? We're here for the levels, not for the sound quality. All right. So, what's going on? Hold on. Something's going on. This is not updated. Oh, this is like frozen. Hold on. There we go. All right, so today, economic calendar. Do we have a little bit on the economic calendar today? Let's see here. I think we do. I think we got it. No, we don't. Okay, so nothing on the economic. Just FOMC member speaking at 10 a.m., so that's not interesting. So nothing really there. Earnings, nothing there. Yesterday we had some earnings on TTD. TTD went absolutely straight down. That's wild. What a wild last few months for this stock, right? Goes straight up here on earnings, goes straight up on S&P 500 inclusion, and then goes vertically lower. So I mean, yeah, I'm staying pretty far away from this one. I mean, like, if I was like, oh man, look at this hold over the gap fill level. Look at this. Maybe the daily 200. It's just. I mean, obviously, swinging into earnings is never a good idea, and so you can see right there, right? This is why swinging into earnings. If you like the upside, right, the earnings could, like we say, earnings, economic data can invalidate technical analysis. That's just simply the truth. So, not really a technical trader into earnings. We have to understand that our technicals are only so strong against a bad earnings report, right? So, yeah, not good for TTD. Not really involved, so that's that. What other earnings? Did we have anything else earnings-wise that I should be paying attention to? APP, I actually think I need to be watching today. Where is that? Okay, it's holding 427. Yeah, we're going to watch this today. But hold on, let me see here. Trade Desk, SoundHound, okay, XYZ, Square. How'd they do? Oh, not bad. Oh, shit. XYZ's up at, yeah, we're up at that 85 spot. Okay. All right. Maybe a little bit of watch on that. XYZ, Square on that 85 spot. Twilio lower. How did SoundHound do? I know everyone was all jacked up about Sound. Oh, wow, they actually did pretty well. Okay. Rocket Labs, RKLB, how'd they do? Interesting little Rocket Labs flag breakout there, no? Interesting little. I'm not getting involved in no Rocket Labs on a Friday though, guys, to be honest. So I'm not even going to talk about it much. Maybe Monday we pick it up, but yeah, on a Friday like today, I'm not going to start tinkering around with stocks I've never traded before. So that's that. Fubo reported today. How'd they do? Fubo, not really much there. Tempest AI, how'd they do? Slightly higher. Yeah. Let's get back into our let's get into our normal thing here. I'm not really gonna start getting cute on this Friday, so not interesting to me. But yeah, keep an eye on some of those earnings moves if you're interested. That Rocket Labs is sort of interesting. But let's get into the levels. Let's get into the charts. Let's talk about what happened yesterday. So yesterday went a little bit lower, but that's just how the market works. It had to add some liquidity to the downside move. Went a little bit lower than what I expected. I expected 23,400 to sort of be the NASDAQ hold level, right? We had our 23,400 here, and that was the gap fill I was sort of looking for, back to 23,400. But this thing was just sort of, what a systematic downside trend yesterday. I mean, look at this. Totally systematic trend, just basically computer selling the entire day. I mean, that is just like a perfect, choppy, downtrending market. Could have just trusted the trend, definitely. That was a beautiful, beautiful, just tight channel. Look at that thing. I mean, wild. All the way back down to the gap fill, and that's where it started to get sort of spicy. Back at this gap fill, back at this 23,400. If we go to the QQQ, you can actually see here, take a look at the inverse head and shoulder to end the day off our 566.50 level. And this is where it actually ended up being the low, right? We had a left shoulder, we had a head, and we had a right shoulder right there. Little inverse head and shoulder bottoming formation to end the day, which led to the end of day squeeze, which was really nice. But this did go further and lower than I expected. So that was a little bit tricky yesterday. Also, yesterday we had intense divergence on the NASDAQ versus the ES. Like, very intense. The S&P closed the gap probably within a few hours of the day. The Qs took all day, right? So that was a little bit of a divergence there. And the thing I want to point out today, guys, on the NASDAQ futures, which I think is very important, right, is the fact that we are still below 23,617, and we are still below the yesterday high rejection, right? That's very important to understand. Yes, we did bounce off the gap fill, right? Yes, we did bounce off of this previous high, turning it into lows, but we are still below our supply at 23,617, which was the exact spot that we saw pretty much the failure come in through the rest of the day, right? 23,617, after you failed back under that yesterday, it was over. I mean, from that point forward, it was just downside the rest of the day. So we still have 23,617 above us, right? This is not something to forget. We still have this high here, right? This high right here, yesterday's rejection point, that is still right above current price action. So we need to understand that today. Do not forget that that's there. Don't just start longing into the exact spot that rejected yesterday. If we can get above it, if we can hold above it, if we can really confirm a hold above it, then maybe there's more there, right? Back into the 23.7, maybe back into the 23.8. But for now, that is rejecting. So let's be open to that, right? What I do think you need to see today to stay bullish, right, in the short term is a hold of 23,500, right? Or a break over 617, right? Here is your, for me at least today, I'm going to be very strict on this. This is my no trade zone today on the NASDAQ futures. I have no interest in trading shorts into 23.5, and I have no interest in longing into 23.617. That is very clear, right? You can see here from the pre-market, this is your pre-market range right now. There should be really no interest in trading the Qs or the SPY within its range of the pre-market. That is very clear. So let's see if we can break under 23.5 or over this 617, maybe for a little bit more interest today. If not, we start our weekend early. Easy as that, right? We need to see a setup to warrant an entry. And for me, I think you want to see what happens at 23.5 or 23.617. If you break back under 23,500 today, which is this pre-market high, which is a major rejection from yesterday, right? If we go to the 1-minute chart, we can see 23,500 was actually sort of where this sort of fell off pretty aggressive in the intraday. And it's also where you are holding here in the pre-market, right? Right here in the day yesterday, right here pre-market 23.5. So there's some interest on that 23.5 level today. If we fail below that, I think you could see that move right back down to 23.4, right? Underneath 23.5 into 23.4, I think is very possible. The reason I say that is because this was pretty much straight up to end yesterday, right? You pretty much went straight up towards end of day. The last few minutes of the day, you went vertically higher from 23.4 to 23.5. There might be a need to fill in some of that area. So if you do break that 5, I think you could navigate towards that 4. Right? Fill up some area, fill up some of the demand down here. If you break back under 4 again, things get a little bit questionable, but you do still have that daily 20 below, so it's going to be tough, right? It's going to be tough, but I'm going to be watching 23.4. I'm going to be watching 23.5. I'm going to look to see if there's any reactions near these levels today. If you break back under 23.4, you could go ahead and pop your 330 low here just to make sure you understand that there is a low of day there from yesterday. But for me, it's very close to the daily 20. So regardless, I'm not going to be shorting into the low of day and the daily 20 there. That just doesn't quite make sense to me. So maybe if you want to put a level at the previous low of day, you can. I'll have my PDL sort of red line that's always on my charts, and I'll also know that the daily 20 is right there. So not going to be really looking to be short into the daily 20 on the NASDAQ. That's for sure. So so far today, right, I'm not getting that good of a read. I have a very sideways pre-market. It doesn't feel like there's a very clear spot. The only clear spot for me that I really see is maybe a fail under 500 for a scalp to the downside. And when I say scalp, I mean like a 5-10 minute scalp to take profits into these lows. Nothing more than that. Or some kind of a scalp to the upside over 617, possibly into the high of day yesterday into 700. That's really it. I don't really see a continuation trade here. The only continuation trade I see that's possible, and I'm not going to say that this is going to happen because this is a very aggressive call. But is there bear flag possibility on this second leg and this second attempt higher? That's really the only thing that sort of is stuck in my mind a little bit. Is this bear flag territory, right? Is this a fail to go higher? Is this a lower high? And does this market start to curl back over on some kind of a major bear flag? Not something that's going to play out today, in my opinion. That's something that would probably take a few days, a few weeks to play out. But that's the only other thing that's sort of stuck in my mind just slightly. And I'm slightly cautious of it, right? And for that, I really don't want to be long over the weekend because I think there is a possibility of it. Let me show you this on the ES. It's very similar. So if we go to the ES, right, we can see that we have failed to make a new high still, right? We have to understand that. We have failed to hold above these lows here, which rejected yesterday at 6,400. We have failed to clear out these highs, which rejected yesterday at 6,430. That's pretty important, right? We're failing below these lows, and we're still below these highs. We're still rejecting this area right here. This is still very heavy. And this move higher, while it has been a nice move higher, it is not breaking the ceilings that you need yet, right? When you get a breakdown like this and you come back, you need to squeeze out back above the highs to really feel confident that this is not just a, short-term dead cat bounce that leads to lower highs and, lower lows. So for me, that's not fully confident yet. I'm definitely not fully confident that you're just going to go right back to these all-time highs and squeeze through them. I need to see that to trust that, because I've seen many times on this market, right, where you break down, you retrace some of the move, you come back into some previous rejection points, and it falls back over again. You guys, if you've been a trader, you know that it's very possible. And those moves are nasty, right? That move, if that does happen, right, if you actually do get that at some point, this sort of bear flag and the downside move that fails 6,400, fails 6,430. If you start to feel this pressure come in again, it's probably going to be a nasty day, right? That is not going to be a very, very exciting day to look at if you actually do get this to play out. So I'm just mentally prepared for it slightly. I want to be a little bit cautious of that, right? I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm not, saying, you got to be short here, but I just want to make sure you're aware. It's very good to be educated and aware of what's possible, right? That's really important in the market. We can't be blind to possibilities. That is a very important thing in the market. So I don't want to be blind to that possibility because it is there. So simply put, it is. It's absolutely, there is a door open to that possibility. No, there's no doubt about it. So what I'm going to be watching today, you guys remember this level right here, the 6403, 6400. Once that failed yesterday, you went straight down, right? These previous lows, this previous rejection, you failed it yesterday. You were trying to hold above it. You were trying, but you failed. And that led to straight down, right? That led to straight down that went down into the 6335 level, which is, sort of put this back on my charts today, which is these previous highs, 6335, 35, 35, right in here, and that was sort of the low of day. So going to keep that on my charts there at 35. You also have that 6310 demand down here, so you absolutely have major demand down here, and that means you can't just like say, oh, we're going to just, we're going to go right through it. You can't say that because this is a very bullish market, and there is absolutely still downside demand down here at 6310, at the 6335, and those can definitely be bounce points. Now, on top of that, right, we're also still above the daily 20. So the daily 20, once again, could be a hold spot, and this could just bounce once again. So we still have demands below, right? The bear flag look, the downside look, the head and shoulder look is there, but you still have downside demands below, and I would still be cautious of that. If you fail back under 63.75 again today, which is these highs, and right where you just saw a hold come in on the pre-market, if you fail back under that today, that gets a little bit interesting, right? Because yesterday, this was the break and retest fail that led to further downside, right? And I was very tempted to take that trade yesterday. I did not. But take a look at this. 63.75. Take a look at this yesterday. Right here, this was our key level. You tried to push higher. You failed. What did you do? Rejections led to the rest of the downside on the day, right? 63.75 fails was the pretty much key inflection point of yesterday. Now you can see, look at what just happened in the pre-market at 63.75. Look at this. It's trying its best to hold that level. This is, for me, a must-hold for the bulls. If I see we close under 63.75 today, that is, to me, a cautionary thing happening, right? Because I don't think you want to see the S&P close back under these highs right here, these lows right here, this rejection right here, these highs from Tuesday. I do not think you want to see the S&P close back below that level. If we close back below that level, this, to me, looks a little bit toppy, right? A little bit of a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, falling back over type move. that's a little bit cautionary, especially with the fact that we were not able to break above this previous high. That's important, okay? So just keep that in mind. I'm not bearish on it. I just want you to be aware of the possibility. If you hold 63.75 today, then you're fine. You don't got to worry about any of that, right? If you just find a super strong bounce off this 63.75, find a super strong bounce off the daily 20, right? And this thing rockets higher, gets back above 64, and we're just sort of cruising, then that is, that's not going to, right? The downside's not going to happen. So we got to watch 63.75 today, in my opinion. See what happens there. See what happens at the daily 20. If we do creep down a little bit lower, this is going to be a very influential spot today. Just got to be aware of it. SPY. S&P 500 ETF, you guys can see we basically went straight down into the daily 20, which was the exact low of day, which was just incredible. A little bit of games played there yesterday for sure, right? You can see the games that are always played around key levels. Had a little bit of a fail below, right? Reclaim back above. The reclaim ripper, inverse head and shoulder, was really where the bottom came in on the SPY low of day, right? Right at the daily 20, right at 630 demand. So always going to be some games. You're never going to get a perfect hold. Like, it's not going to just tap the daily 20 and go straight up. It's just not how the market works. It needs to add liquidity. It needs to fake out traders. And that's pretty much what it did. So right down to the daily 20, 630 demand. That was your sort of pullback hold that happened. Now, we can see, right, if I go to this hourly chart, it's the same thing on the ES, right? Take a look at where the SPY is failing today. You are still failing below these previous lows, right? Here's a low, here's a low. That's 635. What else is 635? Take a look at this, right? Look at this right here at 635. 635 is the level on that Thursday that led to the downside, right? We tried to hold 635. We failed 635. We went lower, and we went lower aggressively, right? And take a look at what's happening at 635 today. So we need to clear out 635, in my opinion. I need to see the SPY get back above this 635 spot to feel confident that there's not a lower high forming here. 635, 635, 635, 635. I want to see us get clear above that level. If we get over 635 today, then I think you can look for some potential upside opportunity. Maybe back up into the high 638, 639 zone, maybe on a little long scalp towards that level. But if you're under 635 today, I would not be looking for longs, to be honest. I would wait for that to break, right? Just simply say, hey, no longs until I see a hold over 635. I think that's the safe thing to consider today. I think that's the safe way to think about it. Very important. Roderick, appreciate that, brother. Thanks for joining the coffee fund. Thank you so much. 635, that's the spot. To the downside, there's still so much demand that you do have to be careful on any type of short side there, right? You can see this whole zone between 632 and 633 could absolutely hold the SPY up again today. Underneath 632, I think you'll get your drop to 630, right? And under 630, that's a break of yesterday's lows. That probably is starting to look like a bear flag, right? If you zoom out on that, if that's actually what we get today, which I'm not sure we will, but if we do, all right, if you're breaking yesterday's lows, then this is looking like a bear flag. So just be open to all possibilities today. 635 to me is the level that you want to see break for upside opportunity today. That's going to be the clearing level that I would be watching. QQQ, same thesis, right? We can see here on the Qs, we have this 573, 573.50 level. If I go to the 5-minute chart, we can see it right. This was, and we had this level on. If you guys remember us making this level on our charts on the live stream, this was the exact high of day yesterday, by the way. So if you guys remember our live stream yesterday, we were looking at the chart like this, and we said, maybe we should go ahead and put a little spot here at these highs at 735, 735, or 573, 573.50. Sometimes the dyslexia comes out of me. 573, 573.50, right? We sort of looked at this level and we said, oh, maybe we should put a little level there, right? That looks like a little bit of a rejection spot right at that 573. Well, that was your exact high a day. I mean, that was incredible. And then you just went down the rest of the day. So that was sick. Really clean. at 573 on the Qs yesterday. So when I look at that, right, when I look at that, what just happened at 573 highs, I don't really have interest in now trying to long something right back into that level, right? That really doesn't give me any interest in upside. When I'm looking right at that major rejection, this previous rejection that we just talked about, what am I going to do? Long right into that level today? Not really, right? That's not really there. What was the opportunity to long? It was the pullback long that we talked about. The gap fill pullback long, which we had around the 566, 566.50 level, which was the nice level to take a long. But, you know, unfortunately, that was a long that happened at 3:30, right? Nothing really happened until 3:30. So the last 30 minutes of the market, which is just, I'm not going to be trading in the last 30 minutes of the market. Let's just put it at that. So, you know, the long didn't really set up until end of day, unfortunate. So today, what do we have? To me, we have a pretty clear NTZ, right? We have 566.50. We have 573. I know it's a big zone, and I know you're going to want to find opportunity between it. Trust me, right? That's like a 9-point zone, right? That's pretty big. No, sorry, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a 7-point zone. Sorry, bad math there. You know, it's a pretty big zone in the Qs, and there's definitely opportunity between it. But I would not be able to say where my entry would be in between that zone, right? I really don't see where to take an entry between this yesterday low and this yesterday high, right? You're basically just taking entries between this. And if you want to tell me where an entry is between this high and this low, be my guest, right? Where are you longing? If you're looking at this, where's your long spot? I have no idea, right? And where's my short spot? I have no idea, right? My short spot is here, and my long spot is here, right? So when you're trading right here, you are trading off of levels that are probably very thinly traded, and probably you can't trust much, right? So I'm not interested much there. Maybe the Qs can drop lower for us into 566.50 today for some kind of a re-entry long. Maybe it fails under 566.50 for a short into 563, right? But yeah, let's just watch our levels. Here's your bear flag look. That is a possibility, right? Just sort of make sure you're aware of that. You can see it is there. I know there's people talking about it, and it's definitely apparent, right? It's definitely apparent. If you can't get back above these highs on some kind of strong squeeze at some point, the longer this floats under this high, right, the longer you fail this area here, the more likely it is that this loses strength, just so you know. You need a day that just rips these shorts out of this move, right? And then you'll get that flowing upside again. We need a rip to clear out these highs, or you're going to start getting the short side, you know, sort of building its ceiling here. And eventually, if that continues to fail, you're probably going to need downside before you fuel this again. So just make sure you're aware of these highs. 573, 573.50, yesterday's highs. Be careful there. SPY, 635, gotta break it. ES, up there at 6,400. I would want to see it break, right? And then NASDAQ, I would want to see this 23,617 break. These are spots I think you want to see break before trusting upside, right? That or deeper pullbacks. One of the two. All right. So we're gonna have to get Diesel out of the chat, because what we said yesterday did exactly that. And he's just annoying the hell out of me now. Exactly what we talked about on the live stream, the possibility of a gap fill turning into a long. I don't know how we could have been more right there, but Diesel's always got a problem, man. He must have lost a lot of money or something. So let's move on. SMH. What did we talk about yesterday on the SMH? We talked about the pullback long off the 289 level. The dip and rip, right? The dip and rip off the daily 20, 289, and that was spot on yesterday. Beautiful, beautiful move. However, it just took all day, which sort of sucks, right? It took all day. So you guys can see right here, we talked about, hey, SMH opening up on the gap fill, right, or the gap up. Let's take some profits, right? Let's take some profits on the swing trade at open because of the gap up. I mean, if you don't believe I said this, go back to yesterday's live stream, right? Gap up, take profits on swings in the open. You're going to need the gap fill. We're going to look for a pullback to the daily 20. What did the SMH do? It gapped up. It pulled back to the daily 20. It held there. It went higher. So couldn't have been a better read on the SMH yesterday. That was, I mean, it's exactly what happened. And I am not afraid to say that we were exactly right. So very nice there on the SMH, 289, break, retest, nice hold daily 20. Now here's the problem. You're still under 293.50, right? You're still under 293.50. That's the problem, right? So I'm not a fan of that, right? I'm not a fan of that. I would need SMH above 293.50 now. If you get above that, then I like the upside, right? If you get above that, I like the upside. But for now, you're not. So please be aware of that. You need to clear out 293.50 today on the SMH. If you do not, this is going to be a little bit of a lower high here, right? And sort of fail back down to the daily 20. And if you break the daily 20, that's no bueno, right? So just got to watch this zone right here. That's very important. IWM trying to hold that 218 low. That's really it. Just got to see what happens off that 218. That's really the only place opportunity arises. And then Bitcoin. Nice move yesterday on Bitcoin, right? Did move higher off of our key retest level, 113,800, 114,000. However, you moved higher into this daily 20, and there's a little bit of concern there, I'd say. I mean, I don't think you just disregard that daily 20, right? I don't think you should disregard this potential failure point here. So just be careful of that, right? Just be careful of that. 118. Yeah, Romario, I mean, spot on, man. You know, and it is what it is, my friends. You know, it's, you know, I think most of you probably are mature enough to understand that we come here in the live stream and we create opportunities. We create theses and ideas. We create ideas on both sides, right, to just stay open. You know, immature people think of it as one thing and then it's ridiculous, man. It is what it is. I typically don't expect that from people that pay me to type in the chat, but I guess now we have people willing to pay me and be idiots at the same time. So I guess great, that's fine. But you know, most people would understand that we come here to just create both sides of the idea, right? And that's what you should be doing. To think that I would create a one-sided thesis for myself to lose money every day is just asinine, right? I mean, obviously, I do what I'm talking about on this live stream is directly correlated to what I'm going to trade on the intraday, right? So if I'm just going to come to the everyday and create a one-sided thesis and then just lose all my money because I can't think of both sides, I mean, what are we doing here, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. Most people understand that. Some don't. And those are just, you know, it is what it is. I mean, it feels, I feel it. Like I'm happy to, I haven't gotten aggressive like that in some time. And I feel like I'm back to my, you know, I needed that. I love it. You guys know I like it. I mean, that's sort of my MO, but anyways, let's continue. All right. So that's that. 2 days of spiciness because of, all right. So what's next? Maybe that's why he does it. Maybe he wants to get a little bit of a kick out of me. Maybe that's it. You know, maybe that's it. So we did Bitcoin, we did SMH, we did ESNQ, SPY Qs. That's good. If we can, press the like button. If you guys could, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And let's get into some equities. So, Tesla. Interesting setup, man. I want to try to stay long Tesla, but it's sort of spooking me out here at this daily 20. Good little swing yesterday. Didn't quite get profitable because it pretty much just opened at the highs and didn't really go anywhere else, so that's unfortunate. Just didn't have the best entry yesterday. So I think I lost like 4 or 5% on that one yesterday. Basically just closed it at the open, knowing that we were going to sort of smash that 200 SMA. However, today I am very intrigued to see if we can get above the daily 200, 323. Pay the plug on AMD call out. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Get some. Now that's someone who appreciates. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. AMD, holy hell, was that a trade, huh? 167, reclaim a 167, break and retest a 167. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean 140% on that yesterday. Incredible trade. Appreciate that. Get some. Congratulations, man. Way to pay attention. Way to be open to what we talk about and take advantage of coming to this live stream for free to learn and to find opportunities rather than being anyways. So let's continue. 323, right? Beautiful. That's something to watch out for. Watch the daily 200 SMA, right there. Daily 200 SMA, 323, big potential failure point. So I would be very cautious before you start trying to anticipate a breakout on Tesla today. That is not a good idea. Tesla loves to bring you in, right? Reel you in to the breakout possibility and then slam the door on your face, all right? I would be very careful before that. Now, I can tell you, right, firsthand today, I am definitely, right, I feel it in me that I want to chase this breakout, right? It's just natural tendency. It's human tendency. This looks like Tesla's ready to squeeze the hell up, right? Like you're looking at this and you're like, okay, Tesla's going straight up today, right? I get it. I feel it too. But I also know the possibility of something like this. And that's just what Tesla does. So what we need here is we need Tesla to clear out 323. It has to happen. You have to allow this to clear out 323. You have to allow this to clear out the daily 200 SMA. We got to wait for it today. Let's see if we get it. If we do, I'm going to be game for it. If we don't, then maybe next week. But Tesla definitely looks like it has something behind it. I like the hold of the daily 20 yesterday. That was a very good pullback hold, right? You know, sort of a retracement hold at the daily 20. This is good. It's building very good. The build looks like it should have the strength to break out, but we shall see. NVIDIA, not much today unless it's outside of these highs and lows, so I'm going to go over this one quickly. 179 pullback or the 184 breakout. Those are the two levels I'm watching. Rejection here, hold here, you could look for. But a very clear channel within yesterday's range on NVIDIA, so not much there. AMD, I'd be interested to see if AMD can hold previous day highs in this 174, 175 zone. But at the same time, I'm going to probably want to see the NASDAQ strong if I'm looking for that trade today. So we'll have to see if that lines up perfectly. It may not. But what I would be looking for today is to see if AMD can hold above these highs. 174. If AMD can turn those highs into support here, I think you're going to 180, right? To be honest, if I look at this chart, if you reclaim these lows, reclaim yesterday's and hold above yesterday's highs, there's really not much here until 180, right? This would be your next leg higher to 180. So that's definitely on watch for me today, right? That is definitely on watch for me today. Yesterday, we talked about 167. We said this low, these highs, if we can hold above these highs, we look for upside. What did AMD do? It held perfectly above that exact high. So this is exactly what I would be looking for today. AMD was the best trading opportunity of the day yesterday, right? 167 highs. You held right above it in the early morning session, right there. And that was it. That was history. Right up to our target of 175. Huge trade. Today, look at what AMD is trying to do. Can it do it? Can AMD hold 174 today? That's going to be interesting. Broadcom. What a perfect pullback. I mean, if you ever wanted to have a systematic approach to trading, just look for Broadcom to pull back to the previous day highs. It happens almost every day. Of course, there's times where it doesn't, like this, right? So there's going to be some days where it fails you. But Broadcom, again, yesterday, previous day high, pulls back to it, holds, and we'll see if it can continue. But for now, you're still underneath this 307 area, right? This is still a rejection. I'd still be wary of that. Watch out for 307 today. Not really a watch for me. AMD is really my only semiconductor watch on the day. Going to sort of lock in on AMD a little bit. Meta. I actually like Meta to the downside today, unless the market is very strong. But Meta, heavy underperformance. Meta just sort of triple topping at this earnings high, which makes me think that it just needs to retrace a little bit, right? You're just failing to get through these earnings highs, which is very clear, right? You can see just rejecting these highs. So do we need a little bit of a retracement? Maybe, right? It is still above this previous all-time high and maybe just sort of channeling, right? So it could just be a channel. So I'm sort of cautious of that. Don't want to get too, aggressive on any type of downside. The idea that I'm looking for, though, is if you can break below 758.41 right here. 758.41. If you do break that, then I think there is a nice trade back into 748, which is about a 10-point zone, so I do like that, right? There is actually some juice there, but you have to break this low, and for now, you're not breaking it, so the trade's not there yet. Why do I think that's an opportunity? That's just the low of this daily candle right here. If you break below that low of that daily candle, I think you'll come back down to this daily candle, which is the 745, 748 area. So keep an eye on that. Not really something I'm immediately going to be looking for today, but if we see weakness on the market and Meta continues to underperform at these highs, this under 758.41 could get sort of interesting. I'm going to watch that a little bit. Amazon. Nice, perfect reclaim of the 220 level. This was straight from our live stream yesterday. We said over 220. Looks like a good long into the 226.50. That is exactly what Amazon did from level to level. However, this just went straight up off the open. So, yeah, not really an entry point, unfortunately, there. I'm not interested in Amazon today unless it gets above the daily 20. Not interesting to me. Not going to long it into this rejection at 226 and back at these previous rejections here and the daily 20, which actually could be a lower high. So 226.50, be careful there on Amazon. I have an alert there to see if it gets above. Apple, all about the daily 200 today. What does it want to do? This is going to be very big, very important. You have this clear target at 225, which maybe it wants to reach for, but that is going to be very heavy up there. What did we talk about yesterday on Apple? We talked about the pullback long at 216. What did Apple do? It pulled back and it longed off 216. So that was beautiful, right? Pullback early morning, long off 216, previous highs, perfect hold. A little bit of continuation, not great. Daily 200 SMA is sitting right in the way, so I'm a little bit cautious there. May stay away for a little, may stay away from this one. We'll see. I'll probably just watch to see what the daily 200's looking like today. Or possibly a nice pullback back to 216 again, which could be very nice. But you're sort of just stuck between sitting right off the 200. Sort of questionable to me. Hood, monster trade yesterday, right off 108. That was incredible. The break and retest of 108 was one of our main watches yesterday. And take a look at what Hood did off of 108, 108.50. Really nice. You guys can see right here on the hourly chart. Take a look at this chart. Look at these 108 highs. Look at this. Here, 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 here. 108 highs. Look at this. Really nice. Really nice. Break, retest, 108. Nice continuation. So today, I'm going to look to see if that same thing happens around 110.50. Now, let me show you why 110.50. 110.50 is this previous high right here. 110.50. 110, 110.50 area. Going to look to see if that turns into another higher low there today. If it does, upside into 113.44 all-time highs. Above that, you're going higher. Pullback longs at 108 will continue to be the best opportunity. Like that. Maybe create a little bit of a 4-hour bull flag, right? Back into 108. That could be really nice. That could be really nice. That's probably what will happen, actually. Look at this. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get a little extended pullback, in my opinion, back to 108 over the next few days, right? That could be really nice. Get a little 4-hour bull flag. We love that. We love a 4-hour bull flag. There's nothing better, right? Create one of these. Start to see this thing hold. Start to curl back higher and then explosion higher. That would be incredible. Let's keep an eye out for that. 108. Palantir. My God. There she goes. There she goes. Incredible pullback holds, right? 176, 178 zone is now your new buy zone. This thing's at all-time highs. Only trade you can really say right now, guys, is a break and retest above yesterday's highs. There's really no other trade set up. So break and retest above yesterday's highs. That's really it there. Besides that, it's a pullback to 178, 177. Last thing I'm going to talk about today is Coinbase. Coinbase is creating a pretty nice bottoming formation on the low of this chart, which is quite interesting. If we can get Bitcoin to be strong, I might be interested, but we shall see. This is still a move pending for me. I'm not too interested yet, but 305, 310, 311, you start to see this little, curl back higher and trying to create that higher low here. 310, 311, watching that. 305, watching that. If you can get above yesterday's highs, I think you could get a move into the 325, but sort of shitty yesterday, right? Yesterday's action was pretty nuts. I mean, I don't know how you'd even find a trade in there, so I need to see Coinbase get a real move behind it first. Like, I'm not going to anticipate that this starts moving nicely, right? Look at these trading days on Coinbase lately. Look at this. This. Yesterday I had interest, took a loss on it. Yeah, I'll stay away until I see something happen. All right, guys. We got 2,700 people here, 1,200 likes. If you guys could help me get to the 1,500 goal, that would be great. I'd appreciate that. It is Friday. Don't mess up your week. We've had a good week so far. Gonna try to just find some really clean opportunities. A-plus opportunities. AMD be one of those, right? Seeing if AMD sets up that clean hold. Looking for that meta downside. Keeping eyes on of course, the market levels, the 63.75. If that holds, right? Staying sort of bullish on that. SPY 633. NASDAQ is 23,500, right? If 23,500 holds, this market's not going lower, right? So watch out for 23,500. That's going to be a key hold down there. Keep an eye on those market levels. Create that game plan. Stay open to both sides. And let's make it a great end of the week. If you guys want to trade live with me on a daily basis, make sure to go ahead and check out the links down below. If you want to get my key levels every day, make sure to check that out below as well. Or if you just want a free morning watch list, where I just give you a little 2-minute watch list that I'm watching for the day, you can go check that out down below, and it says free morning watch list. Thank you guys for all the support, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Peace and love.